Alrighty. Hello, everybody. We're going to keep things nice and simple. It might have even cut me off at the start there. I don't know. We're not going to do too much editing here, although I'm going to have to for one of these segments, but we'll get to that. Hello. Welcome back to, I mean, essentially another update video. It's an update not in a community post sense, but a proper sense. This is a real update that you all get to see on the channel and everything. I didn't expect to be doing one this early. But yeah, hi guys. What's up? I mean, technically it's not early. We're about to enter July. This is about the time that I would do it. And I haven't kept you all updated too much in regards to actual channel stuff. Now have I? I mean, I did it with the community posts, but other than that, hasn't been much on here, has there? That's really unfortunate. I didn't expect it to turn out like this in terms of actual videos on the channel and everything. But you know what? I'm still happy with what's happening, right? And I've got plenty to talk about in that regard. There's a whole bunch, right? Very excited. Again, there's a lot to discuss here, so we might as well just delve in, right? Just let's get right into this. Let me speak on a whole bunch that I want to talk about here. Here now, just chilled out. No necessarily like long script or anything like that. Kind of just keeping it cool. One to one with all of you. So, with that said, let's start off with the first obvious thing, which is I feel like the biggest reason people come to the channel is the ReZero stuff. Obviously, the big thing here that people are going to ask about is the next review. It's on the way, right? I wanted to take a slight break for a bit to kind of just work on some stuff, which I'll get into, of course, with this update video. But I wanted to take a slight break to work on some stuff before I got into that review. That review is one of the next things I have to do, right? So it's on the way. Don't worry. If you haven't seen already, we've done live reading sessions throughout the past month or two that these chapters were coming out, right? So that's fun. If you want to see me live react to them, you can. Some of those streams are long. One of them in particular is very long because it's like 4 chapters, right? So super long there. But if you're interested in watching those are available in the live section. They're one of the only live streams I'm going to keep public, right? Usually I try to unlist my live streams just because I don't necessarily feel like I need to have them be public, right? You don't need to see, here's every, Deltarune stream, and here's every Mario stream, and here's every Bayonetta stream, and here's every, like, I'm trying to think of what else, like, the random DMC streams I've done, or every single Yakuza 1 slash Like a Dragon, right? That's just a personal thing with me of like, I feel like that's a lot to hit people with, especially because YouTube recommends those streams. I'm not saying I don't want YouTube to recommend them. I'm just saying recommend them while they're live. When they're not live anymore, they don't need to be recommended. People can outright go and search for that themselves, right? That said, there are streams in particular that I'm cool with it recommending. One of them is the end of the year Rumbles, right? They are a big event, so I love keeping those live. There's occasional exceptions in there when it comes to just playing with friends. So those ones occasionally are just still up. And then the last of which would be the ReZero streams that we're now doing with the live reading sessions. Those will stay up. Those will stay public. You'll get recommended them in your feed occasionally. I think that's fine because some people are interested in seeing them. I am actually, this is something I do want to note here. Thank you very much to everybody who has just shown support for those streams. Those streams have done fantastic on this channel, right? Those are some of the best streams I've had in terms of people, tuning in, watching, chatting, giving, thumbs up, all this. Some of that it doesn't like entirely matter in a certain sense, like the thumbs up sort of thing. It's just nice to see support, right? That's the main thing for me. Is seeing that support is what matters because it means, oh, people find this entertaining. People are happy to see me doing this and all this. And it's like, you know what? I like that. I like that I'm able to entertain while, people get to see my reactions to what's going on with the chapters or the theory crafting that I might do, right? Occasional funny comment in there or two, whatever it may be. There's also a new video on the channel, I guess the latest one prior to this, which is kind of going over the big moment of Arc 9. I highly recommend you don't watch that if you haven't read the new batch of chapters. But if you have, feel free. That video should be pretty damn funny in terms of my reaction. Should be known considering who I am if you know what's in there. But that stuff's great. So if you're interested in the live reading sessions, those are there, right? And then as for stuff like the review, that'll be out soon. I just gotta work on it and everything and make the thumbnail, all that. The thumbnail won't be a drawing, also. I know I said last time that it's like, oh, we'll probably try and do that. But due to some issues that, once again, we'll get into, that didn't get to work. So I'll try for that next time because I should be way more open next time in terms of time and everything. But as for right now, it's going to say fairly simple. It's going to be the felt sort of thumbnail that, like, the volume cover has. And then that'll be it. Now, in regards to content and the like, the obvious thing is big videos on the channel. I'm still working on quite a few, right? I think at this point, I kind of realized I do actually have to do one thing. The Like a Dragon video, I got a backlog. If you notice, it was supposed to roughly, hopefully, come out the same day as Pirate Yakuza. It didn't. I played through that whole game. I'm actually almost done 100%ing that. Because I've been playing it on and off. I've been playing all sorts of stuff, so I haven't put my full attention into it. But in that regard of being on and off with it, I've almost 100%ed that game. I still haven't finished that video. That video is going to be a big one. I think just like the Smash video I've promised, both of those are projects that I'm going to work on over time, and eventually they will be out, right? I cannot say for certain they will be out right off the bat, right? Like, boom, there you go, first big video. Because I think if I do that, you guys are getting a video in November or something like that. I think this is going to take a while. So I think I will passively work on it in the background. Could be for next year, right? I'm trying to give better time estimates here. But honestly, I'm going to like kind of do a long shot with this sort of stuff now, right? And say probably next year for this sort of video, right? For this sort of like massive one. Um, and then if you get it earlier, you get it earlier. I'll let you all know. But I think next year might be the likely thing for that. That doesn't mean there'll be like no big videos in the meantime, though. I have a Xenoverse one that I would actually really like to do, especially now with what the fuck is going on. So that video I want to do, absolutely, that'll take less time, right? Don't get me wrong, that video will take much less time. Uh, Even if it'll still be big and it'll still be relatively long in terms of what I cover. Then there'll also be all sorts of shit I have on a list, right? There's certain like the final boss related stuff that I have on there and everything. There's a lot to cover in terms of videos on the channel to come out and like that are huge, like maybe 30 minutes or so. But there's still more to come out this year. I just think the Like a Dragon one probably not likely for this year. If it comes out though, it comes out. Maybe I can deliver it as a fun Christmas present for me. We'll see how that goes, right? But I'm going to keep working on it because I've been working on it. I'm going to keep working on that. I haven't abandoned any projects in a very long time, right? I think maybe like 5 years ago or something, I used to do that a lot where I would give up on a project because I'd be like, it's so much work or like there's so much to do here. But I've kind of realized now I have this mindset where I'm just happy to work on this stuff. And I've realized, you know what? Fuck it. People will stick around for this, right? I think that's what I really essentially realized about these like ReZero videos and stuff like that that I've done. Of like, if people enjoy your content, they'll stick around. They don't need to have content in their face 247. If you want to make a big video and you could promise that thing and you keep working on it, right? And you give updates and all that, you know what? People will wait for it. And then people will get the video and it will probably be pretty damn entertaining, right? And it's like, you know what? I like that, right? I like the possibility that people will still stick around and know that this video is on the way and then they finally get it. And it's like, boom, right? It's this 2 or 3 hour like endeavor. Then people watch that video and they kind of just go, whoa, like, holy shit. This is really packed with all sorts of stuff in here and everything. And it's just generally a real entertaining fucking long ass ride. You know what? That works, right? Personally, for me, that works out well because if people are just enjoying that sort of thing, I win, right? In a certain regard, I win. And it's like, you know what? I did good to stick to that project and not abandon it and keep at it, right? Every single day. Maybe not every single day, take a break every now and then. It's healthy. I say every now and then, and that makes it sound worse. Uh, take a break when I need to, but every now and then, kind of just work on it as much as I can, get it out nicely. Boom, right? Works out great. So, like a Dragon video and the Smash one, obviously both still being worked on passively in the background. The Like a Dragon one's the important one right now, but in the meantime, there'll be more big videos on the channel. I just gotta work on some of them more, and you know, you'll all get them when I properly announce some of them, or whatever it might be. I might even just shadow drop them out of nowhere. So some of them really might be just dropped out of nowhere, and it's like, okay, here you guys go. Here's a new big video, right? And now, in regards to videos, I mean, there's not much to mention with the reaction channel. The reaction channel exists. If you're interested in it, you can always check it out, right? It's mainly for just ReZero, Bleach. Uh, I'm trying to think of things that would go on there, and it's like I still haven't decided if I'm doing the final mob season on there. I might. It's mainly just those two, and I don't know what else. Maybe there'll be more in the future. The only other thing I think I can mention, because it's also on there, is the Walton Files, because the episode four's reaction is on there, and when 5 and 6 come out, I will be reacting to those on there in all future episodes. But it's just like, yeah, that's the only other thing, and it's kind of funny because that's the most popular on there with having one episode. But other than the React channel, right? I have a different alternate channel that I am thinking of doing something interesting with, right? This is just me kind of rambling about this a little bit, but the channel that I was going to have for, gaming with friends and all that sort of stuff, some of the older videos that I've had that I just kind of put on there, right? Or have a playlist of. Weirdly, I guess it makes sense, but weirdly, if you don't upload a video to a channel, despite putting the playlist there and despite being a collaborator of it, that channel does not display that playlist at all. Like on the channel, it is not there at all. So a little unfortunate, but that's all right. I do intend to have a few more videos uploaded there in regards to that, like with friends and everything. There's all sorts of clips I can put on there. There's all sorts of just videos in general of like recordings that I have that I need to edit up and put on there. There's like, I think I might have mentioned it before. There's a Jackbox video that I could very easily edit up and put on there. That was done like a year or two ago, right? Bit older, but still fun video. Other than that though, I was debating on taking that channel and also renovating it a bit and kind of having it be a channel where I just randomly talk about shit that I want to talk about, or maybe do random ass tier lists, right? Because I've mentioned before that it's like, I wouldn't mind the prospect of doing a bunch of just fun tier lists or whatever it may be, just because, right? Just because I like sharing some opinions on stuff and everything. And then on top of that, it would also be the case of, randomly talk about stuff. I played Deltarune recently. That game is like number 6 on my top 10 games of all time. It's about to approach like top 5 with, whatever comes next, right? With the next 30 chapters. But like, that game's super high up there. I would love to talk about that. I would love to talk about uh Grand Blue Relink. I like started playing that at the start of the year, right? First time. And I do need to get back to it, but there was something so aesthetically pleasing about the whole game, and it's like exactly what I wanted from a video game and all that. I'd love to talk about that as well. And it's not just limited to games, it's like shows, whatever it may be. There's all sorts of stuff that I'd love to talk about. But I'm thinking of renovating it towards both of that, right? Fun with friends, and then also having that on there. Kind of a more chill sort of channel. I would upload whenever on there, whenever I feel like talking about something, and I kind of just want to speak. You know, just works. It's whatever. But with that said, right? I'm honestly, the funny thing is there's a video that I've been debating on making, either for this channel or that, and it would be like the definition of underrated, because I feel like that is really mixed up now in terms of like I've seen people mention all sorts of series that are absurdly popular, and they get called underrated, and I'm like, I don't know if we know the term here, right? So it's like I think that needs to be discussed a lot more, even though some people already have. I personally want to give my own take on that sort of thing, right? Uh, I'm debating on whether that should be a video here or there, but I'll decide if I want to do a video at all, and if I do, where that'll go, right? That said, that's just me mentioning something about that channel. I might do something more with it, or it might be with fun, like a fun with friends sort of thing. Definitely, audience input is going to be a big factor towards whether or not I do change it, because if people are interested in hearing me talk about all this stuff, by all means, I'll do it, right? Like, by all means, I'll be like, all right, cool. If we're all interested, fuck it, I'll do it, right? Why not? But that's all I have to say about that. In regards to this channel, though, obvious things of, you know, more streams on the way. We, other than the ReZero stuff, we've only really done Deltarune this year, and I definitely want to do a lot more on the channel, right? Because there's a whole lot that I would love to stream. Funny enough, me playing Deltarune, so this was something that fucked with my schedule with the ReZero stuff. I mentioned this in that sort of thing. Was I played Deltarune, loved the shit out of it. That took up the rest of my week in terms of that ReZero reading week, right? New chapter for ReZero comes out. We thought it was done. New chapter, yeah, of course. To pay randomly dropping one right as the proper volume gets announced. That's happened before many times. Fair enough, right? But then I didn't have a full save file on Deltarune, right? So I kind of went out of my way, got all the shadow crystals, all that, and then boom, right? Okay, half my week there, gone. That's all right. You know what? We did all that. I'm happy. I love Deltarune. Not bad. Friend of mine starts wanting to play it. Okay, I'm there to voice act for him because he needs me to do Ralsei, as well as a few other voices, but he mentioned to me, he's like, you are my Ralsei. And I'm like, okay, got it. I am there whole last time. That's the rest of the week. Boom, I am dedicating to voicing like Ralsei and all these sort of characters. That's all right. But now that's been like 2 weeks. So it's what fucked me over in terms of that stuff. But he brought up an interesting idea, and he mentioned the fact that I'm familiar with Deltarune. I knew about all these details that I was kind of like hinting towards or whatever it may be. I wasn't backseating a whole ton, but when I needed to, I would like hint about something, right? And in particular, the secret bosses, I never mentioned anything outright necessarily, like in terms of where to go, but I did explain to him that it's like, oh yeah, this thing, this is how you're going to get to the secret boss. I won't tell you how you go about it, just that, right? Because he wanted to know. So I would tell him, this is the thing that you need for the secret boss. I won't tell you how this goes down. Like, let the game essentially, kind of show you its puzzle, and let's see if you can decipher it, right? If I need to, I can nudge you, or like rather, if he wanted me to, I can nudge him along. But other than that, I kept to myself about it, right? So, fair enough. But I was the Deltarune guy. He was the person going in blind. He brought up something that was interesting because he compared it a lot to Omori, right? Now, I own Omori. I've owned it for a while. Never played it, right? And I've heard a lot of people praise it. And it's like, it's probably a game that I would enjoy, right? I also do know that it does have some horror elements to it. So obviously, it'd be a great game to play in the dark, but we'll see how we go about that, right? But that would be a great game to just generally play. So he brought up the idea of if we stream it, right? He's the Omori guy, and then I'm the person going in blind. You should also note I'm going in somewhat blind. I know the story beats, right? I know the whole spiel of the game and what happens and how it ends and everything. I already know that stuff. I just don't know the in betweens, right? So I do know a decent bit going in, but I haven't actually outright played it, and I haven't actually fully experienced its characters and everything. So we brought up that, and I definitely want to try streaming that, right? I had to think about it because I was like, you know what, I'll get back to you on whether we just play it normally or we stream it. I told him, you know what, this would be fun to just in the dark play this game, right? I think that'd be a great time. I gotta figure out a decent setup because without some lights here, I am completely just shrouded in darkness and you won't be able to see me. So we'll have to figure out something there. But when we do, Omori. And now, speaking of streams, the Rumble, the end of the year Rumble, I actually did update this. The list, I updated it. Normally, I was going to release a whole trailer for this, and I would have loved to, but that would be a lot of extra work. And right now, I don't want a lot of extra work to just be slapped on for the sake of an update video or just to randomly upload on the channel just to say, hey, there's more characters on the way. So maybe for future entries, we'll definitely do that. But right now, no. Right now, we're going to keep it simple. The end of the year Rumble, we have a whole list for characters that you, the viewer, can vote for, right? You have to vote for a minimum of 15. And essentially, like how that works is if 15 are voted for by each person, the likelihood of having roughly 30 unique characters can happen, right? Now, it won't necessarily mean that many are making it in because characters who were champions before automatically get in. So, there's a select few who might not. But anybody who is voted for that doesn't make it in any regard, is continued into next year's, right? With the same votes and everything. Essentially, we use the same document and constantly update it over and over again, and that will keep everything that's there. Fairly simple. With that said, also you can edit your entries. I should note that. You can edit your entries at any point, right? Might be a little odd because, it's going to save your stuff, so it might throw you off for a second because, you'll have all these characters checkmarked. You can just click off them, click on a new character. It's that simple, right? Anybody that you don't want in there, you can just select somebody new. It's that simple. Uh, Also, I actually want to note this before I reveal all the new characters here. I will note, I don't remember what I said originally for the due date on all this, right, in terms of voting. So I'm going to give a potentially updated one. I might have already said this date, or this might be brand new and I'm just changing it. But for the sake of making things easier for me slightly, in terms of just timing and, trying to like get the end of the year Rumble ready, start of October. October 1st will be the end of that poll. As soon as we hit October 1st, I'm closing it. I'm pretty sure I said November 1st originally, but I realize now that's really tight on time for how much I actually have to do. October 1st. October 1st, we shut it off there, and that'll be it. Right after that, voting's closed. I will, kind of private it and everything, and it'll be made public again by the Rumble, like the Rumble date technically, but like after the fact, after it's all done, and we'll go from there, right? We'll add more characters, so on and so forth, right? With that said, right? So October 1st, minimum 15 characters, and vote on both lists. That's the main important things to keep note of, right? Because there's a female and there's a male list. I will now reveal all the new entries, right? And I'm not going to have text on screen, so hopefully, I'm pretty damn well articulated with how I'm saying all this and everything. But our new entries. So we're going to go by series, and then I'm going to talk about characters in there, right? So for Cave Story, we've added Quote and Curly Brace. For Granblue, which I was talking about earlier, we've added Gran and Catalina. For Sonic, we've added Maria Robotnik. I kind of just generalized it to Vocaloid. I know that's not necessarily correct. It's correct in some regard, but you know what I mean. But for Vocaloid, we've added Hatsune Miku. For Jujutsu Kaisen, we've added Megumi Fushiguro and Maharaga. For Kengan Ashura, we've added Tokita Oma and Sekibayashi Jun. For The Simpsons, just random sort of joke entry like we always do, we've added Homer Simpson. For Marvel, just because I've been, reading the comics and there's also Rivals and all this sort of shit, we've added Magic, Storm, Venom, and Wolverine. For Naruto, I'm still early on, so I didn't want to add too many, like, I'm going to say random characters. Not really random, but you know what I mean. I kind of kept it simple because I'm not super far in at all. We've added, Naruto himself, Naruto Uzumaki, and Sasuke Uchiha. Panty and Stocking, which I do need to properly watch, but I put it on there because it's like pretty much the next thing I am watching in between Naruto. Uh, Obvious thing, panty stalking, right? For Rhythm Thief, we've added Phantom R, and the final one for Deltarune, not surprisingly, we've added Suzy, Queen, Tenna, and Gerson. So, with that said, we have a whole lot of new entries in there. I did debate on adding a few more from some other things, but I'll think on that, right? The rough sort of thing in this sort of scenario is adding more characters right now might be risky because that implies that, I add more, like, let's say, I add more in a month or two, right? That's a little tight on time, right? It's a little tight because we're drawing close to October 1st. So I will think on if I do want to add more in that regard, and maybe I'll update you all when that happens. But for the time being, those are the new characters. Feel free to vote. There are way more now on both lists, so you don't have to worry too much about I have to vote for 15 characters, and there's a lot here in terms of, or not a lot, but like there's so much crunch in terms of characters because of how like minimal it kind of felt that it's a little tough to pick between the characters, right? Hopefully now with like almost 50 on each. I think the male one is like 50 now, but with almost like 50 on each, that should be enough to have enough variety in there where you can pick 15 and feel confident about that. And again, I might add more soon. We'll see. We're going to add more in the future, right? That's because again, these lists will be reused. So whoever the like, I'd argue top 20 are or something from both, right? Something around that. Whoever that much, is on there, we can always just replace with new people and then add more people on top of that. So the list is even larger next time, right? Like the list becomes massive for both. And then more variety, right? It's nice. Works out still. And so on and so forth. I don't want to keep adding and making the list like bigger, but it is a thing of like, we do want to keep it relatively kind of huge so that there's variety. I'd say 50 is actually a pretty good number, but we want to keep that consistent in terms of like 50 every year or something like that. So that there's always a lot to pick from, right? That's about all for that. So feel free to vote, and it'll be done October 1st. And now the update that's most important for me. I mean, I guess technically I could also potentially mention like, oh yeah, more bros to cast and stuff like that on the way, but those feel kind of obvious. That said, the most important update for me, A Demon's Tale, Act 2. I have been constantly talking and hinting about this, and there's an obvious thing that I could talk about right off the bat in regards to it. So let's just get it out of the way. So there's good news and bad news. I'm going to get the bad news right out of the way. Very obvious thing. We did not make the spring deadline. I thought I could, and I really gave myself the estimate that, yeah, I could do that, no problem, right? Because it's like, oh, what? I have to work on some teasers, I have to work on a cover, and I have to work on the chapters. The chapters weren't a problem. And honestly, the cover wouldn't have been a problem. But I failed to consider something. Those teasers weren't a sketch. Like, they weren't sketches that were teasers. They were legitimate pieces, right? I was making 7 proper pieces to go by like for each day of the week, and then then you get the cover reveal to see who the main character is. I failed to consider that takes a lot of time, right? And I'm already busy with all sorts of stuff, so it's like, that didn't work out as planned, right? I didn't think about that fact. So unfortunately, it's not even spring anymore. That deadline was wrong. I am now going to mention something. The bad news is over, right? I mean, technically, I could mention the fact that the cover still isn't finished yet, right? But that is now my entire focus. That's why I said the bad news is over. The teasers, they're all done. Literally every single one of them is done. They're finished. I'm happy with how they look. Done, right? Cool. Chapters. By the point that you're all seeing this, it is very likely we're done, right? Me and my close pal Brandon, we have most likely corrected anything that's needed, corrected or just gone over shit, everything. Hell, he has made so many great sketches at this point that I think we probably will already have enough for a very fun editor's note. So that part's done, right? It's now just the cover. That's it. I just have to make the cover, essentially use that to show you all who the main character is, as well as, just having a cover for the series, for this act. And that's all. So, with that, I can actually mention that July is absurdly likely for Act 2 to come out. If it is not July, it is August, right? I might just even say fuck it and have it drop August 18 as a birthday gift for myself, right? Just have the like teaser images go up, the week prior and then boom, right? That's the worst case scenario is August. The general scenario, not even best case, the general scenario, it's this month that you're all seeing this. It's July. July is the very likely date. Not date, because date sounds like in July in general. Well, I mean, it is, but that sounds like a weird, like, as soon as you see this, right? But July, at some point, I'll keep you all updated, of course. At some point in July, on my Twitter or on the YouTube community, you will see the first teaser image drop. On top of that, a prelude chapter will drop. Remember the prelude from Arc 6 of Act 1? You'll get a prelude chapter as soon as the first teaser image drops. Then we'll go by the week, and you'll get the first proper Act 2 chapter. That'll be fun. Anybody on Royal Road who might be experiencing that and feels a little bit left out on it, here's what I'm going to mention. The prelude chapter will be updated every single day. The tweets are going to have, I'm going to say quotes, right? They'll have some quotes in there. And I'm going to be taking those quotes, putting them in the chapter end offers note, and then you'll get the image in there. Then I'll do it again for the next day, then again, then again. I'm only doing this because I really just don't want people to feel left out, right? I'm not like, I want to increase the view count or something like that. I don't really give a shit about that. My main goal with that is to just say, hey, just because you're not on the YouTube community post, or you're not on Twitter, or whatever it may be, you're not losing out, right? Here's the exact same thing. The only difference is you can't give it a thumbs up or like it or whatever it may be, right? Which I don't really think is that big of an issue. If you want to do that, thanks, right? I appreciate the support, and if you like the art, cool. I'm very glad it worked out in that manner. But other than that, it really doesn't matter too much. You get the same experience from the chapter at the end. You'll still get it there, right? Some of these teaser images, I will say, you can definitely tell the difference on time because I started them way before I started writing Act 2. Not way before I started writing Act 2 in the sense of even before the outline of it and all these, story elements, but before we actually sat down, started working on chapter 1 of it and everything. Way before that, like a month or two prior, I was working on these teaser images because I already knew what was going to happen. So I knew it'll be like, okay, yeah, we'll put this for this teaser image, all that. But not to say the quality on those is bad. I do really like them. All I'm going to note is that I feel like personally, because I can tell myself, you can really see the difference of when one teaser image was made versus the other, right? It'll be here and there because some of them, that are in the middle, were made earlier than some of them, at the start or at the end, right? It may depend on what entries there. But I think you'll really be able to tell which ones were made, a bit earlier because oh yeah, it's still good quality, but then you get the later or the ones that were made later, and you can definitely see, oh shit, yeah, that was absolutely made after the fact, right? So that'll be fun. I'm excited to finally drop those teaser images, but I do feel terrible still because I promised spring, and that is part of my lisp here, obviously. I mean, I've had this problem before, and even this video, there's been problems like that. But it's been 3 whole months that I was not able to deliver this. And it is really unfortunate to me because I tried my damn hardest to actually get this out without, actually just killing myself because of how much I was working, right? But I tried a whole lot to get this out on time, and I couldn't. I got so desperate, I was trying to do it like the last day before summer, right? Still didn't work out. So what do we do instead? Well, to compensate, I'd like to give you all something I wasn't originally going to give. It's not a reveal to the main character, but it's pretty damn close. I am going to give you all the subtitle for this act. Because if you recall correctly, Act 1 had a subtitle, The World Turned Over. That was the subtitle for that. With this, I would like to give you all the actual proper title announcement for Act 2 without too many details. Enjoy. And you heard it here first. A Demon's Tale Act 2 Brave Blood is our next act. Will this chapter in the series involve? I'll leave that up to you to figure out. But you'll know soon enough. Hopefully by this month. And the worst case scenario, like I said, August. You'll know by then. So, that's it for ADT, right? There's obviously more to go through, and I think I'll do a proper extra video when we actually get to start so I can go over some things, right? Just for fun. But in the meantime, I'm going to work on that cover, and that'll be out soon enough, right? But that's it. That's the video. I hope you all enjoyed, and apologies for me talking so long because I mean, I knew this was going to happen. Like, this was going to be a long update because of how much there was to talk about. But it happens. I'm all right with that, personally. Yeah. There's a lot to do, but you know what? Much like before, I'm still happy with what I'm doing. I'm happy to be writing ADT. I'm happy to be getting all this stuff ready for the Rumble. I'm excited for that, right? All these big videos. Can't wait to properly like just work on and drop for all of you to enjoy. Those will be fun, and obviously the ReZero reading sessions as well as the reviews. I have fun with the reviews, and I've been having fun with these live reading sessions, right? I think these have been great, and these have been a nice change for the channel that keeps things interesting. So overall, I really can just say I'm satisfied with what's going on. I'm feeling happy, and you know what? That's all that really matters. If I feel happy, that's good. That almost sounds a little shallow in terms of how it's being worded, but kind of just that feeling of, you know what? I'm proud of myself. I'm proud to be working on all this. This is great. But yeah, with that said, take care. Have yourselves a nice night. Vote on the Rumble characters if you're interested in that, right? Let me know if, like I said, the second channel sort of thing, not really second channel, but you know what I mean. That channel where I might talk about stuff, make tier lists and all that, but mainly right now is going to be used for gaming stuff with friends. Let me know if the other stuff, the former stuff mentioned, sounds interesting, right? I'd be willing to do that. That said, take care. Have yourselves a nice night. I already said that, but I'm repeating it. And yeah, I guess I will see you all with the ReZero review or whatever comes next. And we'll be back. And again, Act 2 will start soon. I'll keep you all updated on that. Have a nice night, peeps.